A lot of people are being emotionally abused, but only a very small percentage chooses to do something against the emotional abuser or leave the relationship they're in. The problem is that emotional abuse has a lot of long-term impacts. That's why in this video I want to show you the impact of emotional abuse, so that if you're in a situation like that, or you know someone who's being emotionally abused, that you really understand the impact of emotional abuse and that you can choose to do something against it. Hi Lovebug, I'm Vivi. Welcome to Adventure You Walk. My channel is all about guiding you to an exceptional relationship with yourself, with your partner, and just live a better quality of life due to emotional intelligence. So if this is something that you want to learn more about, consider subscribing because there's a whole bunch of videos on these topics. Emotional abuse is really one of the things that we don't really care about much, but it's actually happening a lot in our lives. So to showcase this, I want to share some statistics with you. 35% of women have experienced emotional abuse growing up. 35%, that's 1 in 3 women. That's a lot. And 43% have suffered of some kind of abuse in their childhood or while growing up. And that has a lot of impact in our society, in our relationships, how we're dealing with ourselves, with our friends, with our partners, and just in general with people that we know. And if you think, well, maybe that only happens in your childhood or while you're growing up, no. 39% of all people have been in an emotional abusive relationship during the last 5 years. That's a freaking lot of people. So there's definitely something that we need to talk about and something that we need to change here to improve relationships and our quality of life. Let's look into some of the impacts that emotional abuse can have in the long term. A lot of people shut down their emotions completely because feeling nothing feels better and safer than feeling happy and feeling sad all the time. Because in an emotional abusive relationship, you're mostly on a roller coaster. And most of the time, the emotional abuser is trying to make you feel bad, guilty, ashamed, or just not good about yourself, how you treat your partner, and how you treat others. So feeling nothing, numbing the feelings, feels safer and better than having any feeling at all. The problem is that we disconnect from our feelings at all. We stop enjoying life and we stop really being present and really experiencing our life. And the more we feel, the more we experience, the more memories we create, the better life we create for ourselves. So by numbing the feelings, we pretty much live a really terrible, uneventful, and not rememberable life. We also create emotional instability because being in an emotional abusive relationship creates trust issues and approval seeking. The longer people stay in an emotional abusive relationship, the worse this can get. And seeking for approval, trying to please the emotional abuser, is a really big problem that has terrible influences on your self-esteem and on your self-confidence in the long term. A lot of people that have been in an emotional abusive relationship really have no self-confidence at all. That's why they stay in these relationships, because they don't have the courage or the self-confidence and the self-esteem to actually stand up for themselves and say, you know what, you cannot treat me like that. You know what, I'm done with you and I'm walking away from this relationship. That is why we think like, why are you not getting away from this guy? Why are you letting yourself being emotionally abused? The problem is they cannot anymore because the emotional abuser has had such an impact and so much control on their lives, on their self-esteem, on how they're feeling about themselves, about life, and feeling in general, that they cannot do that anymore with their own willingness. That happens because the emotional abuser is really clever. He creates a state where the victim is in an extreme dependent state of the emotional abuser, and that it's not really easy to walk away. And the more the abuser is in control of, the more dependence the victim will feel, and the more likely he or she's gonna stay in the long term. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever experienced something like that, or if you know someone who's gone through something like that. Another sign is feeling trapped and alone, because the emotional abuser will not let the victim have their own opinion or their own life. It's all about the control and trying to keep the victim in a secure place where she cannot walk away, where she cannot go out with her friends and get new opinions and actually reflect on what she's going through. That's why most people really feel trapped. They don't know how to get out of it. They're not sure if it's actually their fault or their partner's fault, and they're feeling really alone because they're not sure who to talk to, what to talk to about, if they're actually right with their feelings or not. This also leads into resentment and sadness. It will kill self-esteem and lead to passive-aggressive behavior. It can also lead to sleepless nights, nightmares, and PTSD. So these are very serious things that we should not have in our life, and avoid them by all means. A lot of victims seek help in substance abuse, because if your relationship brings you more pain than happiness, it is easier to get pleasure from any kind of drugs, any kinds of substance, and abuse them, because these will help you in the short term create all the happy brain chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. And all this will lead to a place of pure unhappiness where we're not in control of our life and we cannot control what is happening to us, how our life is going, how we're feeling, and achieving all of our goals is pretty much impossible, and we stop dreaming and really getting into our purpose, doing what we're supposed to do, and living a truly happy and high quality of life. Being a strong communicator can help you immensely to avoid getting into a situation where you're being emotionally abused. That's why I have an incredible free training for you. It's linked in the description and in the comments below. Go check it out. It has helped a lot of people, and communicating more emotionally intelligently is really the key to creating better, more purposeful relationships, and therefore a better quality of life. So I hope you're gonna check this out. If you like this video, please give it a like, share it with your friends and family so they know the impacts of long-term emotional abuse in relationships as well. If you know anyone who needs help, please go and help them, because mostly they're in a situation where they cannot help themselves anymore. And subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about emotional intelligence and just live a better quality of life. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, there's another video about what is emotional abuse and emotional abuse in relationships.